Hi, it's Kim Boon. Since August, I've been knees deep in my new role at a commodities trading shop. Love the job, love the culture, and honestly, it's been a fantastic start, even though most days end quite late. But here's the thing, over the past 2 weeks, so many thoughts have been piling up in my head, and I haven't had time to sit down and share them. And tonight, I want to talk about graduates, specifically why some of them remain unemployed, and the things I've been seeing firsthand as an employer. So let's kick this off fast and furious because what I'm about to say is bound to piss off some Gen Zs. But hey, no point sugarcoating it. My hot take is that some unemployed graduates are jobless entirely because of their own doing. And until they start helping themselves, there's nothing that Manpower Minister Tan See Leng or any government scheme for that matter can do for them. And I'll tell you exactly why, with real stories from my own hiring experience in August. Now, let's talk about fresh graduates. I spend quite a bit of time around one particular local university, and I often ask students what they want to do when they graduate. The answers mostly copy and paste. Business grads, for example, the sexy jobs they want are always investment bankers, management consultant, and of course being a trader. But here's the kicker. Ask them what it actually takes to be any of those. Maybe half can give you a proper answer. So let's talk about trading. More specifically, commodities trading, both the physical and paper side. So my company is a merchant trading commodity shop. So we're cross commodity, which means that we touch everything from dry bulk like coal, iron ore, to energy like LNG, crude oil, and even agriculture, renewables, and freight. The whole works. And across these commodities, there are two worlds. There's a physical and a paper side. On the physical side, that's the business of moving molecules from point A to point B and making money in between. So take coal for example, lots of miners in Indonesia and lots of buyers in Southeast Asia. So we might commit today to say buying 65,000 tons every quarter in 2026 at a certain price. And then we sell those cargoes to an end user in say Philippines at a slightly higher price. And we might make $1 per ton. So that's 60,000 profit per cargo. And you repeat that over and over. That's physical trading in a nutshell. Paper trading, on the other hand, comes in two flavors. There's hedging and there's proprietary trading. So you hedge when you don't want the price to swing on you week to week. And you take a view of proprietary trade where you think that prices will rise or fall and you want to make money off that. And whether you're a giant like Glencore or Trafigura, this is what commodities trading ultimately boils down to. Now, within each trading shop, you got core functions. So you got trading, you got risks, operations, analytics, looking at supply and demand, for example. So most juniors, they'll rotate through these roles before looking at the trader seat, which is why for fresh grads, the hardest part is getting their foot in. That usually means entering through these core functions first, spending years learning, and then if you're lucky and you're sharp, you might land a junior trading seat. Now, let's be real, getting the merchant trader straight out of university is brutal. Most grads only make it through a management associate program or by proving themselves during internships at smaller shops, and that's the typical pathway. Now, here is where my story comes in. My company was looking to hire two new people, rare seats to get real exposure in trading, risk, and ops. And honestly, I thought this was going to be a cakewalk. I mean, like, who wouldn't jump at this, right? I would have queued for it back when I was fresh out of school, but I was so wrong. So I'm going to tell you my first story. We did the usual. We posted the role on LinkedIn, got hundreds of applicants in a couple of days. Even after HR filtered through, we still had a pretty long list. So I decided to try something different. I told HR, give every shortlisted candidate my mobile number, ask them to reach out to me directly anytime. Coffee, chat, whatever. Giving them straight access to the hiring manager. And guess what? Half never messaged. This was basically a shortcut to a first interview, and half the list ghosted. I don't know whether it was me, lack of good looks and charm or something, but honestly, I think it's linked to something that I observed teaching in schools. I think students these days don't raise hand in class anymore. When they have a question, they will ask those questions through anonymous apps, and then the lecturer will then engage them anonymously. And that reluctance to step forward to engage directly, I think that's showing up in the way that people are getting hired these days too. Then came my actual filter. I told candidates, pick any day, Tuesday to Friday, 9 a.m., Starbucks at Raffles Place, my treat. And this was a way for them to have coffee and have me tell them all about the role, about the company. Less chat, right? Kind of simple. No. I had one guy tell me that the CBD was too far and could I meet him at Jam in Jurong instead. Another said she couldn't do it in August at all because she was going on holiday. Others had similarly wild reasons, and by the end of this simple coffee test, half of them were eliminated. So at this point, without even digging deeper into resumes or interviews, I already eliminated around 75% of the HR shortlist just from basic initiative and attitude. And I'm thinking, this cannot be normal. Because if I were a fresh grad, I would have been first in line to meet the hiring manager, especially for a commodity seat. But today, it feels like grads expect employers to adjust to their time, their place, and their cadence. So, story number two. Now, let's talk about two candidates that actually got offers. One we hired and is starting in September. Let's call him James. The other, probably still jobless. Let's call him Peter. So, both of them had solid skills, programming, derivative knowledge, decent commodities understanding, and both had real potential. But there was a key difference. Peter, the one that's presumably jobless still, ghosted us. So we sent an offer letter on Friday, no reply. Monday came, nothing. Tuesday came, nothing. I called, no answer. Days later, I got a WhatsApp message that said that he preferred a full-time job and he was rejecting our offer. And there's nothing wrong with preferring a full-time job. Absolutely understand. But the way he ghosted HR and me, that's just really, really poor form. And everybody's time is wasted, not to mention the bridges that are burnt. James, on the other hand, was upfront. He had the same worry about wanting a full-time role, but he reached out to me, told me directly. So we had an honest conversation and I gamed it out with him. So even if you had an interview the next day, the hiring process will still take months. Companies go through all that process to hire somebody. And once they have made the decision to hire someone after investing a month or two, they usually don't mind waiting a month for the right hire, which means that he could build that experience with us and still get a job if he wanted to. So I even told him if he gets an interview, I'll even help him prep. If he gets an offer and he can't wait, I'll release him early. Because he was honest, so I could be flexible. And because he trusted me, I could trust him back. And that's how adults handle opportunities where everybody wins. So here's the thing I realized. Some grads these days are hyper focused on what they want in a job without balancing what they bring to the table. And many can afford to wait things out because they're living with parents, no bills to pay. But they got to realize that employers can wait too. And the key difference is that hiring managers are still getting paid while waiting. Graduates aren't. So in that waiting game, guess who loses? And sure, the government plays a role, and I said it before, policies can and should improve. But after sitting on the employer's side, it's becoming crystal clear to me that graduates have to meet us halfway. Otherwise, no scheme, no subsidy or traineeship will solve their problem long term. Because getting a job and keeping one are two very different things. So here, that's my food for thought for today. And whether you're job hunting or you're just watching this graduate situation unfold. And with that, I'll wrap up today's episode. I'm really excited to see how our new NCMPs from the Workers' Party, Eileen Chong and Andre Loh, perform in their debut. I'm also curious about the priorities that our lawmakers will set and how they will tackle the issues that matter most to Singaporeans. And you can bet that I'll be covering those debates. And until next time, this is our Red Dot Perspective, and I'll see you guys soon.